Welcome back to another episode of Procrastination Garage. My name's Matt. So what did we do this week? Well, surprisingly to me, it turned into a riding mower maintenance week. That wasn't in the plan, but in the end, that's what happened. Also finished the little solar charger install for the snowmobile trailer, worked around the yard, and also took a trip up to the mountains. So sit back, watch the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and please tell all your friends. Thanks. It's Wednesday afternoon, and today's mow day here at the house, so I wasn't going to do any Procrastination Garage filming, but that changed. The blades on the mower quit spinning, and I look down, I see the belt, and not only did the belt come off, but it's seen better days. So now I'm going to need this mower tomorrow to mow over at the rental. So the question is, do I have a spare belt? Well, I know I have a spare belt in my old mower, my old 54-inch Craftsman mower, but that's going to be a pain to get out. The question is, maybe I have another one. Right up there is a box that says Craftsman 54-inch mower. I wonder if there's a chance of there being a belt in it. Look at that. And it's duct taped together and says 54-inch Craftsman, let's say 54-inch Craftsman blade. Perfect. This is going to be a quick and dirty belt change, but that being said, we're still going to have to remove these plastic covers on both sides, if for no other reason, just so we can see the routing of the belt, and I'm not sure you could do it without taking them off anyway. It's always interesting working on other people's stuff, or what used to be other people's stuff. When I first pulled these little bolts out, I thought they were just super short, but then when I got to looking at them, they're all kind of different lengths. I think they all have been broken off, and then probably the remainder of the bolt was pulled out through the bottom, and then they were able to reuse this part. So I'm not going to put it back together with these bolts. I'm going to get some longer ones, or I probably in my inventory can come up with some longer bolts. So we're going to be running a little bit dangerous without the belt guards. I say dangerous without the belt guards, but I've been running without the blade guard ever since I got this mower running this season. I am meaning to put that back on, so no biggie. What's life without risk? One nice feature on these Craftsman mowers is they do have this little spring-loaded bar here that makes the tensioner, loosens it up, and then you just pull it tight and put it back in that spot when you're tensioning the belt. Makes changing the belt a whole lot easier. It always kind of pays to look and see how the belt was on there before you take it off. But one thing that really helps, if the pulley is narrow, that means the inner part of the belt goes through it, and if it's wide like here, it means the back side of the belt goes. So you can kind of just figure it out when you put the belt up under there and start moving it around and make sure it's not catching on anything. I got to say, I'm pretty crafty. When I put this duct tape around this thing, I actually had an outside area of the duct tape touching the belt, so there was no sticky goo on the belt anywhere. Yay for me. The new belt is routed. I said how it's not too difficult to figure it out because the belt has to go around each pulley a certain way. Well, it would have been a heck of a lot easier if I just dragged out the diagram and looked at it, because I was scratching my head for quite a while, but I finally did figure it out. So everything's in place. The only thing left to do now is we need to tension the belt, which is this lever here. Pull it around until it clips right there, and everything's good to go. So we'll go out and try it and finish mowing. Here's the old belt pulled out. You can see it wasn't going to live a whole lot longer. I'm just glad we had a spare. I got the mowing wrapped up and the new belt worked just fine. That's good. I think those blades need to be sharpened and maybe straightened too, but that's not going to happen today. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning. Going to turn on some more irrigation. I'm not going to show you guys every time I turn on irrigation, but as I bring things up this season, I'll probably show you. Today we're going to water the front yard and the close-up backyard with the underground sprinklers, so you need to turn those on. Same story, you need to close the neighbor's valve. For this set of sprinklers, it may very well stay all the way closed. Open this valve. Close this valve. Turn on the pump. The pump's running. And open that valve right there. Now we could close this valve. This valve closes off everything below this one, which would effectively shut off the pond. But we're going to go down closer to the pond and shut it down. And close this valve. That shut down the pond. And we have sprinklers running. There's a sprinkler right out there that didn't pop up. Everything else looks pretty good around here. And around the back side of the house. Everything looks pretty good. That sprinkler there is just partially clogged. I can fix that easy enough with a little pick tool. Got the pick tool. There, just like that. While I was fixing that sprinkler in the backyard, look what decided to pop up. It's not spraying like it's supposed to. We'll probably go ahead and leave it be for now. We'll mark its location, and then when I shut the water off, we'll open that one up because my guess is that it's probably clogged. There, I've got it flagged. This section of property behind our trees down here has 3 sprinklers from here to the property line, but going back this way, it has absolutely nothing. So I've created this little portable sprinkler made out of PVC pipe and a couple of cheap sprinklers, and I can just drag it along wherever I need it. And it hooks to a hose bib down there. I've got about 200 feet of hose on it. So right now we need to flush this line out. It's been sitting all winter and who knows what's in it. And so if I leave the sprinklers in there, it'll liable to clog them. So let's go open it. One little trick I do to keep from breaking off this PVC pipe riser is I wrap my hose around the tree right there so I can tug all I want on that end and it'll never tug directly against the riser. It took me a while to figure that out. I had to break the pipe off a couple of times. We'll turn this on. Uh-oh, this hose has a hole in it. I'll have to decide whether I want to mend it or just replace it. It's a cheap Walmart hose. Anyway, there's the water bubbling up. Looks like we're good to put the sprinklers back in. Sometimes you'll see some green seaweed looking stuff that comes out. There wasn't any in this one. Oh, I stand corrected, there was some in this one. Something that makes life easier so I don't have to go all the way down to the hose bib. It's just one of these little cheap little things here where I can shut the water off. Put the sprinklers back in, and there they are, spinning around doing what they're supposed to do. That is definitely not doing what it's supposed to be doing. I thought I saw a hose mender when I was looking for that little shutoff valve that I installed down there. Let me go see if I do have one, and maybe I'll put that in. I've marked the hose with a Sharpie on both sides of the brake, and then I've got a cutter and I've got a repair coupler. Well, I got it on one half easily enough. My concern was that the hose wouldn't want to stretch over the top of the plastic piece, but it fit okay. So if we can get the other one on there the same way, then we're done. Done deal, all fixed. And yes, the 2 little pieces on the ends here, I was smart enough to put them on the hose before I put the mender in place. It wouldn't be the first time that I'd forgotten, but this time I remembered. Sprinklers are back on, and I don't see any major water leaking. If it leaks a little bit, it may just need tightening up here, maybe a pair of pliers, because I just did it with my hand. I don't want to get it so tight. Anyway, we're calling this job done. We'll need to keep an eye on this hose. It's probably on its last legs. Have to be replaced before the season's over. So the question you're probably asking, why do I not have underground sprinklers through here? Well, look at the name of the channel. That'll tell you everything you need to know. I still haven't mowed the lower property yet, and it's due. But what I did do is I did mow this hillside here yesterday, and it's kind of a pain. All you can do is go straight up and straight down with it. I basically just drive up it and back down, drive up and back down. But you can see I have some fresh gopher activity since I did that yesterday. So we'll see if we can catch this guy. Now this is a bad place for gophers because they tunnel in and they go pretty deep. So we need to catch them right out here where the dirt is. Sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not. It's almost better to let them come up on top where they start building some tunnels up in the grass. But who wants them up there in the grass? So we'll try and get this guy. One obvious tunnel here where it came out. So we just got the one trap set. So let's hope he comes back. There was some other activity over near the property line. Let's go over there and take a look. I did find some fresh activity here after I mowed yesterday. So I went ahead and set a couple of traps, Put a little flag on it since this is where people walk a lot. And in fact, I'm the one that I mowed the right-of-way all the way up to where those cars are. You know, you try and be a good Samaritan, and what do? You run into some big rocks up there and ding my blades. Which brings us to our next task. Bear got brave, decided to come down and see what I was doing. We don't like him to come much further than this because that's coyote country out there. I mean, technically it's all coyote country out here, but at least when he stays up this part of the yard, he's got places to hide, trees to climb. He gets down there in that lower property, there's nowhere to go. All right, let's see how hard these things are, or how tight these things are. All right, that's two. Can you see it? This blade over here on the right arcs that way. And I knew it because when I was out there mowing, I could tell I was leaving some marks in the grass that I hadn't been leaving before I tried to mow up that hill. And then all these blades got some big chunks. That one's got a really big chunk there. And on the other end too. So we'll straighten that one a little bit and we'll sharpen these up with a grinder and put them back. How's that look? It's still the one on the right. It's much straighter than it was. You got to be careful trying to bend a lawnmower blade because they'll break. It's probably not even safe to bend them back, but seeing as how I don't have any extra ones, that's what I did. Now I'm going to take a grinder to them and try and sharpen them up a little bit. Do not sharpen them with a grinder. That is not the proper way. It'll put them out of balance. You won't have a good edge. But you know what? That's the way I do it. I've lost my grinder. Do you see it anywhere? Found it. All the blades are sharpened, and sharpened is in quotation marks. Not sure if I'm going to cut the grass or just beat it into submission. Doesn't matter, good enough, going back together. While we're here, why don't we grease the spindles? You got a grease fitting there, one in the center, and one on the other side. All are greased. You can tell because there's grease splurge all over. And because we're all about safety on this channel, we're going to go ahead and put the guards back in place. So I got that guard there. It goes there, and then these guards here that had the bolts that are what I say are broken, I found that they are 1/4 20s, and I have 4 that are not too long, so we'll go ahead and put the guards back with those. Both pulley guards are reinstalled. You know, a smart man might have used anti-seize to make sure that those Phillips headed screws would come back out. Yeah, I did. Blade guard back in place. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole out here, and that'll allow me to put a bungee cord that'll hook up to here. So there are times where I can pull this up to let the grass go a little bit further. What I found with my first 54-inch Craftsman was that it curled the grass clippings right down the ground. This one looks to be a little better than mine, but even so, I'm going to make sure I can tip it up. Drilled a hole right there. Bungee runs up to the hood. And see, Raise it up. Still protects me on the mower, but lets the grass clippings fly further as needed. You guys inspire me. That's all I can say. Not only did we get the blades, the ones straightened, we got them sharpened, sort of. We got the spindles greased. I checked the oil. I fueled it up. I even greased the front end, both front wheels and the wheel spindles, or the steering spindles. So thank you guys. Now I need to get it loaded up and take it over to the rental to mow. The rental is all mowed, but more importantly, that's the sprinkler that was busted. It's now fixed. I think all the sprinklers are up and running. Time to go home. It's about 6 p.m. on Wednesday, and I'm feeling a little restless, so let's do a couple things. First, let's start with the sprinkler that earlier today was kind of clogged. We'll go ahead and pull it out and see what we've got. Can you tell how deep down in the ground that is? That's down in there about 2.5, 3 inches. I pulled a little sprinkler head off of it. See, it goes down in there. Anyway, we need to clean that out. You can run a filter in these. The problem is here with our irrigation water, the filters clog up too fast. So instead, here's the bottom of it, and what happens is some dirt and stuff gets through. So it'll take a few minutes to clean in the kitchen sink. I probably spent 10 minutes looking for the right tool and never did find what I was looking for, but I found that dental pick that was almost right. And then I spent 20 minutes working on getting the crud out of there. There is still just a little bit in there. I can blow through it from both ends and I can see it kind of wiggle around. It's some really baby roots in there. So I'm hoping if I just put it back together that the water pressure will eventually work what's left of it out. That sprinkler is now back together. Probably won't test it till next week sometime. Should be fine. It needs a new riser on it, a little bit taller, but I'm not doing that right now. At this point, you've seen all my sprinkler lines running except for one. And it's one that comes across the middle of this area here and does up around those stairs and over that way. And the reason is because I've got a broken sprinkler. I suspect it got knocked over when I was loading and unloading snowmobiles. So there it is, broken. Now we got to find where it goes, which is in that general area. See if we can dig it up and fix it. I thought maybe I could poke around with a screwdriver, my gopher screwdriver, to find where the broken pipe is, but it's not presenting itself easily. So I guess we'll just turn the water on. That'll work. Found it. It didn't make too much of a mess. You probably can't really tell, but the best news is there's enough of the riser sticking up to where I can unscrew it with a pair of pliers. Of course, that may mean getting the broken part of the riser out of the sprinkler is tough, but worst case, I could always replace the sprinkler. I have some. I got the riser out. You can see I boogered up the threads just a little bit, but they're plastic, doesn't really matter. But the riser threw me a curveball. Turns out it's 3/4 inch, 3/4 going to 1/2 inch. I always forget this yard was all plumbed in 3/4 inch. No biggie, I had the riser. After screwing the riser into the sprinkler, I realized it really was too long, this part of it right up here. So I went ahead and cut it down. I could also cut down the other end, but I think it's okay to leave a little more threaded in case I have to get that one out again later. So we'll put it all together. Riser's all screwed in. You can see that I don't have a gap here anymore, or not much of a gap. I had about 1/2 inch before. So now we got to screw that down into there and we're done. All right, we're done. As you can see, this does not sit at ground level. Whoever put this irrigation system in didn't do a very good job in this area. The only thing I can do is raise the grade because I can't get any shorter sprinklers. These are as short as they are. So it's all right. I'm pretty good about mowing around it. It's just in the winter time when it gets covered with stuff, that's probably how I hit it with the snowmobile. Tomorrow we're going to run this line, so I'm leaving the sprinkler out until then to flush that. And looking at the other side, you can see what I mean by it sits above ground. It's just mainly these two on either side of the stairs. Remember my rule of checking gopher traps morning and night. Come check these out here. Nothing's popped. And I can see they haven't been filled with dirt, so that means the gopher hasn't been back. I may or may not come back after dark and check it one more time. Here's the other gopher trap, and it looks like we have a win. I'm not going to show you whether there's something in it or not. My wife said that I shouldn't be showing dead gophers on the video. So if there's not one in here, I'll let you know. I think that's enough work for this evening. Time to lock up and head in. Let's just say it's map 3, go for 0. It's Thursday morning. Time to go snowmobiling. Well, maybe not. I'm not saying snowmobile season is over. Certainly looks like it is. So what are we going to do? Well, Dog and I, we're going to take a trip up in the mountains today and just do some exploring. It's a tough time of year to go play in the mountains. I thought about taking the side-by-side or even an ATV, but the forecast for today was calling for some thunderstorms, so I didn't want to get wet. But the other issue is that the snow hasn't receded that far, so it doesn't take very long from the staging area to get up to where the snow is too deep, at least with the capability of my ATV and my side-by-side. Some of the guys with bigger tires on their side-by-sides can do better. Anyway, so we're going to stick to lower elevations. We're going to go up on Chinook Pass. There's a couple of roads up in the Rattlesnake and the Nile area that I kind of want to explore, and we haven't been able to snowmobile there for a couple months, so I suspect that the snow won't be too bad. We'll be able to get around. So let's see what we find. Just check out that view. Isn't that gorgeous? I do live in a pretty area, especially this time of year when things are still green. We reached the end of the line on this road. I can honestly say I've never been on this road before. You gotta follow them, see where they go. The dog wanted to take a break, so we stopped and got out. All this fire damage is from a fire that came through here, I think 2 summers ago. If you look down there, you can see the snow runoff melting. Pretty brown over on that far creek there. This closer one's not so bad. Don't want to get too close to the edge here. What's interesting is I see a culvert over there. There used to be a road that came through here. Now the question is, did it come through on the road that I'm on? Or does it come in from another direction? We're gonna have to figure that out. People are pigs. What's it take for people to clean up after themselves? Dog and I'll clean this up before we leave. Come on, people. Carpet. We're gonna dump carpet up here. Looking ahead, I think we've reached the end of the line here. Yeah, I think that's about it right there. I had to see how far I could get, but I'm calling it quits. If you look at my tracks as they go up, they keep working over further to the right, and I'm getting too close to the edge up there. I mean, really, I was almost through this little patch. I know I could make it. Well, I say that. That truck has receivers front and rear, and I have a 12,000-pound Harbor Freight winch and a winch cradle, and it's an upcoming Procrastination Garage project, but what I need to do is I need to run the wiring to the front and the back to where I can use it. If I had a winch, I would continue on because I could make sure I kept going forward, or I could winch backwards and it would keep me from going over the edge. As it stands now, if I'd gotten through that little spot, maybe could have got through this spot, up there getting close to the edge again, and we don't even know what's up around the corner. Let's walk up there and look. Here we are up around the corner. As you can see, it doesn't get any better as we continue on. Now the funny thing is, if I'd brought my snowmobile up here today, I could have unloaded and could have kept going. Except we got the dog and that wouldn't have worked. So that's fine. We'll turn around and head back. Dog and I found a nice little place to pull off for a lunch stop. Of course, it had a fire pit that had trash in it. We've already picked that up. Didn't we, dog? Where are you? Hi, doggy. Yeah, she's a whiny girl. Check out the views from here. That rocky point over there is where I'm trying to get to. Up on top of there is like Devil's Playground or Devil's Tabletop or something like that. And this here looked like an old lava flow bed or something. Pretty neat. The gas gauge sitting just under a quarter tank. I guess we better wrap our fun up for the day. So I didn't get to go up the road that I wanted to go up, but I found where it was and just plan on doing it next time. Maybe next time we'll bring the side-by-side, which certainly rides a lot better in the rough stuff. It's Friday mid-morning. Guess what we're gonna do? Yeah, we're gonna mow the bottom property down here. And I'm not going to make you ride along, I'll just show you the before and the after. I do want to point out though that 24 hours makes a big difference in temperature. Yesterday we were in the 70s and right now we're barely at 50 and there's a little bit of a breeze blowing and it's raining off and on since early this morning. It's a good time to mow down here, it keeps the dust down, but it's chilly. I've got a jacket, sweatshirt, and gloves, so let's get her done. It's about 2 in the afternoon. Had to take a lunch break, had to fuel up, headed back down to finish up. Everything's been mowed once down there, but most of those areas I'm going to have to hit a second time. So let's go wrap it up. All done. Surveying our kingdom. Bet you don't have your own island. And a view from a different angle. Good enough, right? Look at that right there. Gophers already got back to work. I was just out here mowing an hour ago, maybe an hour and a half. It's a Saturday afternoon and we're on the hunt for gophers. I've got all the gopher hunting equipment loaded up in the side-by-side, and we're over here on the right-of-way near the neighbors, and we've got some fresher activity. This isn't real fresh. I don't think this is from yesterday, but I'm sure there's something in here. So we'll go ahead and set a couple traps. First set of traps set, and I got them flagged. These traps are set down near the pond. This is fresh activity since I mowed down here yesterday. That's location number 3. I'm out of my good traps, so I'm going to try one more location with some of my traps that haven't been successful. Sometimes finding their tunnels can be a dud. There was activity here. I poked around. I thought I found a soft spot that went into a tunnel, but when I dug, I couldn't find one. It happens. But over here, I did find a tunnel. So I've got these 2 traps here set. These are a different kind. They look promising in the store, but I've had no luck with them so far. We'll see. It's still Saturday afternoon. How about we get this little solar charger mounted into place and call this trailer project done, at least this part of it. The mounting holes here are a little bit oversized for the screw, which is good because plastic expands, so we don't want this thing screwed down tight. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a fender washer. So we'll put the screw down through a fender washer and then into that, and not tighten it too tight so things can flex a little bit as it heats up and cools down. It's all secured down, but how secure is it really? I don't know. It's fine sitting out here in the sun, but what's it going to do running down the road at 70 miles an hour? I guess we'll find out next winter. Now, last thing on the outside is we want to take as much of this core as we can, push it through the inside, and then we'll put a dab of silicone around the hole right there. Well, there it is. Is that the answer? Is it going to last? I don't know. We'll find out after next winter. The only thing left to do on the inside are put the 2 white panels back in place. There was one right there, and then there's a little one across the front. Got the panels back in place. Not the best fit right there. This long panel actually should slide forward a little bit more, but it's okay. It's an old beat up trailer. We don't care that much. And I got the meter hooked up to the battery, and look at that. We got 13.343536 volts. Anyway, I'm guessing that's fluctuating due to the sun. So far so good. That's a wrap on this week's Procrastination Garage. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember, the #1 goal of Procrastination Garage is to get me motivated to work on projects either down in the shop or out in the yard, or even going up in the mountains and playing. And this week we did a little bit of all of that. Down in the comments, tell me about the projects you're working on, or better yet, the ones you're procrastinating about. Remember, this is Procrastination Garage. My name's Matt, and we will see you next week. Thanks.